my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make your makeup look like skin. This has kind of been my favorite no makeup look that I've been doing pretty regular, almost on an everyday basis. This is just what I like to do for work if I have plans during the day, because this is the type of makeup that's going to look really beautiful in person because it's virtually going to be undetectable on the skin. I can show you a few different products that I would recommend and some tips if you are maybe struggling with a little bit of redness. This is the type of makeup, like I said, I like to wear on an everyday basis, especially when I'm going to be in person with someone. I like to wear this type of makeup to the gym because you look like you've put in a little bit of effort, but it's not going to look like heavy makeup at the gym. I work from home, so this is the type of makeup I like to wear for work as well, just because I still like to look put together, but not over the top. So these are just some of my favorite tips for a really natural makeup look and for your makeup to actually look like skin. Like I said, this is virtually undetectable. So I'm gonna get started, and the focal point of this makeup look is going to be on the skin. So I have already started off. I have washed my face. I have put on my SPF. Actually, no, I didn't put on an SPF today. Okay, I didn't put on my SPF, but I have washed my face. I only have a moisturizer on. I didn't put on an SPF. I don't really know why. I just have not put on an SPF, but that is fine. I'm just going to skip it today. I'm going to go start off with the skin, and one of my favorite products, I'm going to mention a few products for this type of look because I feel like there are a few different products you can use. If I want the most natural, no makeup look, I'm going to use the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Tint because this is virtually no makeup. Like, this is the most sheer coverage you can get. It does a really great job of evening out your skin tone in a very subtle way, and it just makes your complexion look more beautiful and more put together without it being an obvious makeup. And I really like this because a lot of sheer coverage products, like if we're talking about skin tints, a lot of skin tints are formulated to give you more of that hydrating, dewy effect. And that actually doesn't really look like real skin. Real skin in real life is not ultra dewy or glowy. So when you have a really high glow or a lot of dew on your skin, it's actually not going to look natural. This gives me more of a natural skin finish. It is a really interesting product because it dries down, but it still gives your skin a lot of hydration. Not a lot of hydration. I do feel like if you have oily skin, you could still wear this type of skin tint. It's really, really beautiful, but this is ultra sheer. Like, it just gives you a veil of coverage that is very, very subtle, and it's not going to be obvious coverage at all. You can literally not detect it if you are in person with someone, like right next to them. This is fantastic for the ultimate no makeup look. And I do recognize that not everyone is going to absolutely love that product, especially if you have a lot of redness, if you're someone with maybe rosacea or you have a lot of acne or pigmentation on your skin. I do think, though, if you do have like discoloration on your skin, you can use a product like this. And especially if you only have breakouts in like a specific area, you can go in with a really sheer coverage and then go in with something with a little bit more coverage and just spot conceal. And that's going to give your skin a way more natural appearance. But if you're someone that just struggles with a lot of redness and you're like, that is way too sheer for me, a great other option is the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Complexion Touch. This is virtually the exact same formula as the Water Fresh Tint, except the Water Fresh Complexion Touch is formulated more as a concealer. So this gives you more coverage. This is going to give you more of a light buildable to, I would say, a light medium coverage. You can't really build it past a medium, but this is great if you are someone that wants a little bit more coverage. But this still gives you that really great natural skin effect. It's not going to look super undetectable like this product is because, again, it has a little bit more coverage, but that gives you that really great texture where it gives you that natural skin finish appearance. And because this is water-based, it is going to just really sink into your skin and melt into the skin, where it is going to look a lot more natural on the skin than some other foundations that don't really melt into the skin, and they are a little bit more detectable. So that's another great option if you're looking for more coverage. Another great option is to like go in with 1 pump of this and then half a pump of this. So you can just up the coverage of this a little bit more. This is a water-based product, so you're not going to want to mix it in with other foundations because it's going to kind of emulsify the foundation and it's going to separate and pill. So this is best used with other water-based products. Another great option, if you want a little bit more coverage than this Chanel Water Fresh Tint, this Chantecaille Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation is another fantastic option. especially if you're someone with normal oily skin, because this is, again, a skin tint that gives you a natural finish. This isn't one of those dewy skin tints that are really popular. This dries down, this gives you more of that natural finish. It would probably be more of a satin finish if you do have oilier skin, but I really like this because this is used a lot on HD film, on camera. A lot of celebrities use this because, again, it's virtually undetectable on the skin. It is a water-based product, so it just sits really close to the skin and it really melts into the skin and looks really second skin-like, but it's going to give you a bit more coverage than the Chanel Water Fresh tint. This is a gel-based product, so it feels really cooling. It feels really beautiful on the skin. This is one of my favorite products. This is actually an empty. I have completely gone through this. I do have a backup. I just haven't opened it yet, but I love this. In this formula, I wear the shade Cream, and this is just great if you want a little bit more coverage. Like, this is something I'd wear to the gym, errands, on an everyday basis to work. But if I want my skin to look a little bit better, if I'm maybe going out for dinner, I would probably wear this one because it's just going to perfect my skin a little bit more than this Chanel Water Fresh tint is. This one is going to cover up a little bit more redness and a little bit more pigmentation than this, where this will actually let your skin texture shine through completely. This one's going to cover up and enhance and beautify your skin a little bit more. And another option is this Chantecaille. This is the Sheer Glow Bronze Face Tint. Now this is bronzer gel product. So you know those are really popular, those like bronzing drops. This is kind of similar, but it is a gel-based product, so it almost has a pudding consistency to it. But this does a fantastic job, especially if you are if your complexion isn't actually this color. I like to wear this all over the complexion just as a skin tint, and it gives you like the most subtle hint of coverage ever. It's very, very, very sheer, like very light coverage. I would say it's quite comparable to the Chanel Beige Water Fresh tint. It's just going to even out your complexion, but it's going to give you a little bit of a bronze tint. So I would only recommend this if you are about my skin tone and deeper. It's going to work really well to even out your complexion. It is going to get rid of a little bit of the redness. It does a great job of just evening out your skin tone, but it's not going to add a lot of coverage, so it's going to look really skin-like. And this has a fantastic blurring quality to it. Like your pores, your skin texture looks really blurred, so I really like this product. And then one more I want to recommend is the Chantecaille Just Skin Tinted Moisturizer. This is a reformulated version. I wear the shade Vanilla or Glow in this, and this offers probably the most coverage out of everything I've talked about, but it's going to even out the complexion really beautifully. It's not going to look like makeup. It's a really beautiful, thin texture on the skin. It just blends into the skin so gorgeously. It melts into the skin. It does not look makeup-y at all. You can still see freckles peeking through. You can still see discoloration peeking through, but it's going to give you a little bit more coverage. So if you have a lot of redness, this might be the type of product you want to use, where you just use it all over the complexion, and then you go in with a more heavy-duty concealer to spot conceal, and that's a great option. And then alternatively, you could just go in with a higher coverage foundation and just use like the tiniest bit and mix it in with any moisturizer that you have, and you can apply it on your skin, and that's going to sheer out the foundation and give you more of that skin-like quality, and it's going to sit on the skin a little bit better. It's going to add some hydration to that foundation that you've applied to your skin, and it's just going to go on more sheerly. So if you're someone that only wants to buy one foundation, then alternatively you can just do that with your fuller coverage products. You can sheer them out. You can even sheer it out with like a mattifying primer and then apply that all over the skin if you're someone that's oily and doesn't want to use a moisturizer, because that will just make you too oily. So there are lots of options, and I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to apply this on the skin. So I'm going to take this BK Beauty 101 brush, and I'm going to go in with my Chanel Water Fresh tint. This is in the shade Medium Plus. Medium is probably a better match for me, but this will do. I'm going to take 2 pumps of that foundation. I only meant to apply 1, but 2 pumps is fine. I'm going to go in with a little bit of product. I do like to apply it to the palm of my hand first, just so I can really manipulate it a little bit more. If you apply it directly onto the skin, you're going to have a harder time just maneuvering that foundation because you've applied it directly onto the skin, and you can't take away product once you've applied it to the skin. So it's better to start off with a small amount. I can get it evenly distributed onto my brush so that I get an even amount of product onto my face, versus again, if you're applying product directly to the face, it's just going to be applied in that area in a more intense fashion. So you're going to get a lot of pigment. Say you've applied it right there directly to the face, you're going to get a lot of pigment in that area, and it's going to be a little bit harder to spread out, versus if I get that product evenly distributed on my brush, then I can get it more evenly distributed onto my face, if that makes sense. Now I like to start out like where I don't really have tons of discoloration right now, but where I have the most discoloration and a little bit of pigmentation. So for me, that's kind of like this area. I don't typically like to apply foundation, or I don't like to first directly deposit my brush into the center of my face, and especially on the nose, because when you're one-on-one with someone in person, the area that they tend to look at is like the front of your face. So they're going to look at your eyes, they're going to look at like your nose and the center of your face. And when there's a lot of makeup in that area, or when there's the most makeup in that area, it's going to look the most obvious. So I kind of like to start on the outskirts, almost like here is where I like to start, and then I'll work my way inwards, especially because we're going to apply a little bit of blush to that area normally. So you are going to add a little bit of color there anyway, so I don't like to directly remove that color initially. That's where I'll go with that excess product. And I do like to obviously run over every area eventually, but with the most product, I like to go on other areas of the face versus the center of my face. I'm just going to go in with the rest of that product, and again, distribute it onto the face. At first you could see me kind of sweeping that foundation on, and then I do also like to stipple on, so I'm just pressing that foundation into the skin. This will make sure that I don't disrupt any maybe like dry patches that I have on my skin. I do have dry skin. And then with that remaining product, then I will go over the center of my face here where I have like the most pores, and then my nose as the final place that I will apply foundation. You can also apply a little bit of this product like around the eye area, just to help when we further go in with concealer. But truly, this foundation looks like you have no product sitting on your skin. I am going to just drag a little bit of that excess down the jawline just to ensure that there's no line of demarcation where I've applied product. But truly, you cannot see product sitting on your skin. Like, I do have freckles. I wanted to turn down my ring light. Like, I don't use any fancy lights or anything for my lighting. I just only have a ring light. But I want you to actually see what this looks like on the skin. So, I don't know if you can tell, but like, I do have freckles on my skin, and you can see a little of them peeking through. I don't really have a lot of discoloration, but you can still see my skin texture showing through this foundation. So it's going to look really beautiful in person, because you can still see skin texture showing through. So that's just what I like to do for foundation on an everyday basis. And a lot of the time, if I want something to look really skin-like, if I want my makeup to really look like skin, I'm gonna take another brush. This is a Shiseido Kabuki brush, and this has no product on it. And I'm going to run over everything to ensure that there are no brush strokes, there are no harsh lines, there's no product collected in one area of my face. This will just ensure that everything is really smoothed over. And this Chanel Water Fresh Tint is just such a gorgeous foundation on an everyday basis because, like I said, this has a very natural finish. It doesn't look too dewy on the skin, too glowy. It adds this beautiful blurring quality. If you guys don't know, I love a blurring foundation. I am someone that doesn't have large pores or really texture in the front of my face, but still, I really like that smooth effect. I like that smooth appearance. I just think it looks more flattering when your skin looks really smooth and filtered and kind of not flawless in adding coverage, but flawless in the fact that it looks filtered and blurred. I just really like that look, and that foundation does it in a very subtle way because, again, you can still see skin texture through. And I like this product because it does dry down and it just has a beautiful finish and it has a great longevity. For me, this will last all day long. I wore this to the beach or the lake the other day and it was really, really hot outside and my makeup looked so, so good at the end of 10 hours. I probably should have videoed it. It looked really great, but that is it for just the foundation. Next, I like to go in with a skin enhancer, something that's just going to really subtly enhance your complexion and bring life back to the complexion. So what happens when we add foundation is that it kind of dulls our skin out. It just gives us this really blank look because we basically blanked out, not everything, because again, this is a sheer foundation, so at least I still have dimension to my skin. I could just leave the house with just this product on my skin, but I like to bring a little bit of life back to the skin, add a little bit of dimension back to the skin But the problem is you don't want to go in with a cream bronzer because cream bronzers sometimes can have that thick, creamy texture and they can add coverage to your skin. And a lot of times creams can actually look heavy on the skin, especially if they're a very hydrating cream, because you can really detect that on the skin because just the texture of it is very different. So it looks like makeup on the skin. So I want to use something that has a very sheer pigment to it. It has a sheer coverage that goes on very sheerly. Like when you swatch it, you virtually can't even like see it on your skin. It's a very low opacity. So the opacity of it is very sheer versus something that's very pigmented and maybe has a bit of coverage. So some options are the Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. This is a liquid bronzer. Wow, couldn't say that word for a second. I really like this, and I think this might work a little bit better if you have normal or oily skin because this does dry down on the skin. It also is a little bit more cool tone though. So if you are someone that has a cool skin tone, this product might work a little bit better for you to just warm up the complexion. Or if you're someone that does like to add a little bit of contour, you could define the complexion a little bit with this sort of product. It is really nice. It does have a sheer pigmentation. You can see your skin through this. So again, the opacity is very low on this product because you can see your skin through this product when you swatch it, especially when you shear it out onto the skin. Another product that I love is, again, the Chantecaille Sheer Glow Bronze Face Tint. This is an awesome product. However, I would only recommend it if you are a warm skin tone because this is a warm bronzer. Some of you have asked me that. This definitely has a warm undertone in comparison to that Makeup by Mario. You can probably even tell the difference. You can see this is a very, very sheer in its opacity level. You can see my skin through it when I swatch this product. But this is really beautiful to just add that little bit of dimension to your skin. But again, your skin still remains looking like skin because of the sheer quality of this. And this is virtually just a skin enhancer versus it being an actual liquid bronzer or an actual cream bronzer. These are skin enhancers, so they're just going to enhance your complexion. But really, really great. Again, this is gel-based. This is going to dry down on the skin. So again, if you have oilier skin, this is going to work better for you. It's not very emollient. This is going to work for all skin types. But maybe if you have a cooler complexion, you want to go with the Makeup by Mario. If you are a warmer complexion, this Chantecaille is fantastic. And I love this one because it's multi-purpose. And then the one I'm going to use today is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. I really love this. So this again is a gel-based product, so similar to the Chantecaille. However, this one does feel a little bit more emollient on the skin. Really like that because you can't even virtually detect it on my hand when I swatch it. It is so light in pigmentation. I guess I can do a heavier swatch. It's really interesting because this does feel quite liquidy, and usually I don't like products that feel ultra creamy on the skin because, again, I don't want my hair to get stuck in them. I don't want to feel them on my skin. I don't want them to look too dewy on my skin. And this has a really great texture because while it is emollient, it's so easy to apply. And I think it's because this is a gel-based product. It does eventually dry down to a more hybrid finish, so it applies like a cream, but it dries down. Not quite to a powder finish, but more like a hybrid texture, I guess I want to say. So I like to just apply this to the forehead. I like to go on the cheeks, over the nose, and then I will apply a little bit to the chin. And I really like this product because it just gives me that life back to my complexion. Everything has been blanked out by that foundation, or at least a little bit blanked out. We kind of take the life out of the skin. But this adds life back to the complexion. It just warms up your complexion, but in a very subtle, beautiful way where, again, you can't detect that you've applied a bronzer. It just gives you that life back to your complexion without it being really noticeable. And I like to use a bigger brush like this. I know that you would think a bigger brush like this is going to apply a ton of product, but that's actually kind of the reverse. This is like a fluffy, well, it's a dense but fluffy, bigger brush. So it's going to actually sheerly deposit that product over a larger area where I want that bronzing color on my skin. Again, where I want to bring life back to the complexion is in a more generous area, kind of where if my skin got bronzed, it would be in a more generous area. Versus like a really dense small brush is actually going to apply more pigment because it's going to directly deposit pigment into an area and it can actually look a little bit harsher. where this basically is blending as you're going. You can see I dab that product onto my skin. I'm not sweeping or buffing that product into my skin, just dabbing it on. And this just gives me the most subtle bit of definition, but now my skin looks more like skin. I have that skin texture back, and it's just gorgeous. I really like this, and I do think this would work for all skin types. If you're oily, maybe this wouldn't work for you, which is why I offered those other alternatives, but I just love that on an everyday basis. Now, if you are someone with blemishes or discoloration, the Clé de Peau, the concealer, is a really great option. This is definitely opaque coverage though, so you might even want to go in with a product like the Chanel Water Fresh Complexion Touch to spot conceal, or what I would recommend in this situation is just taking a foundation. So you could go in with any foundation like my Chanel Sublimage L'Essence de Tint, for instance, and you can spot conceal with that. It's not going to totally erase your pigmentation, but that's kind of not the idea when you want your skin to still look like skin. If you have a noticeable blemish, you're kind of going to be able to see that textured piece on your skin. So sometimes it actually looks more obvious if you just apply a lot of makeup over top, because you can detect that bump in your skin. So if you just go over it sheerly with a little bit of a higher pigment product, like say this Dior Stick Foundation, you can just go in with like a brush, take a little bit of that product and go over the blemish. No, it's not going to completely erase it. You're probably going to see a little bit of redness peeking through, but it's actually going to look more skin-like. And sometimes it actually looks better in person when you apply product like that over a blemish. I don't really care. Like, I don't really have any blemishes right now. Like, I have a little bit of a mark there, but I don't care if you can see a little bit of redness. That to me looks more skin-like, and it just looks more true and more natural. So I'm going to just leave that be. But talking about under eye concealer, I have two options. So this Chantecaille, this is the Le Camouflage Stylo. This is a really great option for a really natural concealer. This offers, I would say, like a light coverage, not even buildable to medium. This is a light coverage concealer. Now for me, my under eyes are my main concern with my skin. That's my main area where like I don't really like that about myself. That sounds really negative, but I have really dark under eye circles in comparison to the other issues on my skin. Like that's just my main concern. So for me, I don't love this under my eyes just because I feel like I can still see quite a bit of darkness through. So something that I still really love that still looks natural on the skin is the Chanel Sublimage Le Correcteur Yeux. I wear the shade number 40 in this, and I really do enjoy this product because this is more of a medium coverage concealer. So I like that even though it gives me a little bit of coverage, you can still counteract that darkness on the under eyes. Maybe not completely, but it does a really great job of just evening that out. I really like this as well because it is free of silicones and it is fragrance free, which is, you know, not all the time Chanel does fragrance free products, and I really wish they would just do fragrance free products. And I really like this. It has no fragrance in it. But because for today I'm going for like true undetectable, no makeup that looks like skin, I'm going to use this Chantecaille Le Camouflage Stylo. I wear the shade number 2 in this one, and it's like a clicky pen, so you do need to click that. And I'm just going to apply it where I have the most pigmentation. With this type of product, I don't bring it directly under the eyes, like underneath my lash line, because that actually can sit in those little fine lines that you have in your under eye region, and it can just look really makeup-y if you bring product too close to the under eyes, and it can actually make your eyes look smaller when you bring it too close to the lash line, because it's going to completely counteract any sort of redness there, and it just makes your eyes look a little bit more tiny. I also like to apply a little bit of concealer to the outer corner because I'm a little bit dark there, and I like to add a little bit of a lifting effect. But again, this concealer is very subtle. I'm going to first blend that into the skin with this Clé de Peau concealer brush, just so I can get that concealer into areas where I want it to be. Again, not bringing it too close up to the lash line. And then I'm going to blend it out on this outer corner. This Chantecaille concealer does have a little bit of light reflection. It has no shimmer particles, but it's going to refract the light a little bit so that it kind of adds this more blurred appearance to your under eyes. And then I'm going to take this BK Beauty Nikki LaRose N16 brush, and I'm just going to blend that concealer into my skin. Again, this is a very no makeup look, so I like this concealer brush because It's not going to add, like some of the other concealer brushes that are super dense are going to apply the concealer so it looks a little bit more opaque and heavy. This is just going to buff things into the skin in a more sheer effect. You know what, I actually really like that concealer. It looks really natural and it really suits this makeup look that I am wearing today. If you wanted light reflection in other areas, you could bring this concealer into other areas of the skin. If you had a little bit of redness, a little bit something peeking through, you could use this just to kind of alter the appearance, just very subtly though. And you can still see a little bit of that darkness coming through. I don't really care because I just want my skin to look better from where I started. And I think that this does a really great job. I'm going to talk about cream blushes next because I do think a cream blush, especially if you choose the right formula, is just going to look the most natural on the skin. It's going to give you that no makeup effect. Some of my favorites, definitely this Persona. This is the blush multi-stick. I love this shade Caramel. This cream blush though is a little bit more opaque. You can see it gives you a little bit more opaque coverage. It offers quite a lot of pigmentation. So this is probably not what I'm going to use, but this is fabulous. If you have oilier skin, I think this would work really beautifully. And you could just go in with a tiny bit of product and really sheer it out. Such a beautiful color. And then this Westman Atelier, I was looking for the shade Petal because I want to use the shade Petal, but I cannot find it anywhere. This is the shade Mimi. Really nice, kind of, it's like a peachy pink. It's like the perfect combination of like a peach, a beige, and a pink. So it's very neutral. And I really like this. This is definitely a little bit more of a glow than the Persona, and it's a little less opaque. So I'm going to use the Westman Atelier today. I'm going to go in with this BK Beauty, this Nikki LaRose N15 brush. You can use this with creams or powders, and I'm just going to first distribute a little bit onto the palm of my hand, and I'm going to pick up the cream blush from there. You can also alternatively just go directly onto the blush, like distribute product like that onto the brush and then get the excess off on the palm of your hand. It doesn't really matter. I just would not recommend directly applying to your cheeks because that way the pigment is just going to be really hard. It's going to be a lot harder to manage and you're going to end up with too much product in one area and it's not going to look as skin-like or as natural versus applying product this way. And then I just go back and forth, and this is going to give me just a really natural flush of color. The shade Petal would be a little bit better for my skin tone. It's not like a huge difference. Petal is just a little bit more pink and cool tone than this one. And I do think it would suit my like lip color. It perfectly matches my lip color. So I would recommend that one. And then again, you can just go in with a little bit of product at a time and build up. It's way easier to build product up slowly than it is to add too much at one time. I still want to, again, give my skin a really natural glow. So I want this to be a natural flush that just gives my skin color back, a little bit of color without it being overwhelming. I like to apply blush a little bit higher so that my complexion, again, has that more lifted effect. And you can also apply blush in other areas. Like sometimes I like to apply a bit on the eyelid. You can go on top of the forehead because again, your complexion is going to have a little bit of pink, a little bit of redness to it. You're not going to have just pink cheeks. You sometimes get a little bit flushed on your forehead as well, or like the tip of your chin. So sometimes it's nice to bring a little bit of that excess product in those areas as well, which is why I also don't want to completely blank out my complexion using a foundation because again, we're adding a little bit of color back anyway. So why would you completely blank out your complexion? So I think my complexion looks incredibly natural. It doesn't look like I am wearing makeup, especially in person. Like my skin just looks really healthy and really nice. My favorite powder for makeup when you still want your makeup to look like skin is this Clé de Peau Refining Pressed Powder because you can see it is translucent, so it's not going to add any color. It's not going to add any coverage to your complexion. It is just going to blur. So this is my favorite type of powder because all it is doing is refining the look of your skin. The Refining Pressed Powder is a great name for it because it truly just blurs your skin. It adds a filtered effect to the complexion without adding color or coverage. So I'm going to take this Rephr 19 brush, or sorry, it's an 18 brush. I want a brush that's really small and a little bit more precise because I want to precisely powder my skin just in specific areas versus applying powder all over my skin. That's just gonna look, not that this powder doesn't look makeup-y at all, but if you powder larger areas. Sometimes if you mattify large, like all over your skin, it's just going to take away that skin texture, but your face isn't completely dewy everywhere. So I do want to take away the shine in specific areas, especially because, like I said, really shiny skin, really dewy skin doesn't look really natural in person. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this product and I'm going to apply this powder where it doesn't look that great to have shine. So in the middle of my forehead right here, it doesn't look that great to have a super shiny forehead, especially in the center, but I'm going to leave that glow in other areas where it is nice to just have that more dewy, natural glow complexion. Also, the center of my chin. Doesn't look really great to have oil or grease there. If you have really oily skin, you might want to powder just down here. I don't have oily skin, so I'm going to avoid that. And then I'm just going to apply powder directly beside my nose on my cheeks. This is typically where you have the most pores and the most skin texture, and this truly will blur and filter that look. So I love this powder for that. If you're someone with really oily skin, you might want to powder your nose. Again, I don't have oily skin, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to add a little bit of this powder under the eye, just very lightly. This powder truly, if you are going to use powder under the eye, again, you could use a loose powder, but this is going to look a little bit heavier because it is just that type of powder. Even though it is really finely milled, it just can look a little bit heavier. This is insanely finely milled. It is one of the most silky, just undetectable powders because of how refined this powder is. It just is so gorgeous. So it's going to give you, again, that skin-like texture back. And sometimes if you leave your under eyes glowy, it actually just contrasts a lot with the rest of your skin. So if the rest of your skin, especially because I added that powder here, is just going to contrast. And if you have a shiny under eye area, it's just going to look really noticeable. So sometimes that will actually, in reverse, make it look a little bit more makeup-y. So I'm just going to look at my skin, and I think my skin looks really nice where it is. And in terms of eyes, I'm not going to apply any product to the eyes. I have actually tinted my eyelashes, and I just did it myself at home. I can leave what I use down below, but it's really easy to do, and I like to do that because now I don't feel like I need to apply mascara, and you can just go in with a lash curler. My favorite lash curler is the Surratt lash curler, but I get my lashes permed every like 6 to 8 weeks. For lips, I honestly just recommend going in with a sheer, kind of like those lipstick lip gloss hybrid products. Those are going to look the most natural on your lips. You could also just wear a really sheer lip gloss, and you could kind of just wipe that off. That's what I typically like to do. I always wipe off my lip products. I'm actually just going to take a paper towel and wipe off if any product got on my lips. Another really beautiful lip product, so again, that lipstick lip gloss hybrid, these Chantecaille lip shakes. If I were to use these, I would use both the shade Bourbon Rose and Patience, because when I apply these products to my lips, these products mixed together give me like that perfect My Lips But Better shade. But today I'm just going to use the Surratt Lipslique in the shade Hevyn, and Hevyn is honestly the perfect complement. This would actually really work well if I used the Westman Atelier Petal blush. So this is a little bit more pink than the Westman Atelier Mimi, but it's pretty close. So I'm just going to go in with this Lipslique. And again, this is like a hybrid, a lipstick lip gloss hybrid. So this is just going to give my lips a little bit of color, but it looks like my natural lip color, and it's going to give me a little bit of gloss so that I don't need to apply a gloss over top. And then I do always like to rub in a lip product just to ensure it's not sitting on top of my lips and it's melted into my lips and it's not, like I said, sitting on top. So I'm really happy with how the makeup is looking so far. I think it looks incredibly natural. I just went out and looked out in daylight because I always like to look out in daylight to ensure that everything looks really skin-like. And you truly can't detect that you can see the makeup sitting on the skin. You can't actually see makeup. One final product that you could use, this is something I probably wouldn't use, but I know a lot of people do like a little bit of a highlighter. So using something like this Victoria Beckham Reflect, this is a cream highlighter in the shade Pearl. Alternatively, another great product to use would be the Chanel, it's like that little balm. It's called, I forget the name of it. Why can't I remember the name? It's that little balm, and in the shade Sculpting is the one I really like. I cannot find mine anywhere. I think I'm going to have to rebuy it because I must have like decluttered it accidentally. But I'm just going to show you what I do. I don't even think I've used this on my channel, but I would apply just a little bit of product Like to just, again, I do not go directly onto the skin because that is just a great way to ruin your makeup, or at least you'll just apply too much product. So I like to apply just a sheer amount to my fingertips, go back and forth. So I like to just distribute it evenly on my fingertips, and with that product, I will just go on the very high points of my cheek. So I press that on with like the pointer finger, and then I'll blend it in with the middle finger. Again, on this side. So I'm kind of trying to find the light, where the light would hit the top part of my cheekbone or that area. And mine's a little bit higher, so I like to just go over that area. And you could also bring a little bit down the nose. I do like this Victoria Beckham one, and the Chanel one is probably my favorite because I think the Chanel one is the most skin-like. This one, sometimes you can see a little bit of a shimmer fleck, where the Chanel one is just undetectable on the skin. I don't love the Westman Atelier one because actually that removes makeup underneath, and I can't get that one to work for me for whatever reason. But this one is just very subtle, and it's not too, like, it doesn't look like makeup sitting on the skin. It's going to give you that textured look versus it being like a glossy highlight. This is just going to give you that, yeah, it's like a balmy texture. So it's going to give you that balmy texture on your skin, but it's not going to look like a highlight sitting on top of your skin. It's just going to add that bit of that balm texture to your complexion, where it looks like your skin is a little bit dewy. So it gives you that more, yeah, just balmy texture on your skin. So it's more of a texture versus it, like, it's not going to dry down on your complexion like some other highlighters, like cream highlighters that actually dry down. That's just more of a balmy texture, but it does look really skin-like. You could also use something like the Chantecaille Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint. This is really awesome for just pressing as a final step, but I feel like I've shown you this product so much and you haven't seen the Victoria Beckham one. But this is the final makeup look. This is how I get my makeup to look like skin. This is the makeup that I wear on like an everyday basis. This is just so easy to do. And I just love how it looks in person, especially. It's never going to look like heavy makeup. It's just going to look beautiful in every situation. And this is the type of makeup that I really like because people will compliment your skin looking really beautiful versus your makeup looking really beautiful. This is the type of makeup that's really beauty enhancing. This is really skin enhancing makeup. And I just really, again, I love how this looks in person. Okay, I've tied my hair back and I have turned off all the lights. Like, I just have a ring light, like I said, and I use natural daylight. I wanted to show you how this makeup look looks in person. Again, as close as we can get to in person. So I'm gonna show you things up close, how my skin actually is looking like. So you can see that it looks just really natural. So I just love using this for just so many different occasions. I just think it's any occasion appropriate. I love how it looks all the time. So hope you guys just really enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your favorite natural looking makeup products, your favorite no makeup products for an everyday basis. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.